All right, so here we are back. And I thank you all so much for joining us on I'm That Proverbs 31 Girl. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. Again, I'm your host, Cynthia McClary. And I do want to invite you all to, of course, like and subscribe, listen to our podcast. The podcast on whatever platform you listen to is called I'm That Proverbs 31 Girl. And listen, because I always tell y'all this, at least I try to remember to tell y'all this. If you're listening to if you get your podcast on a platform and you can't find I'm That Proverbs 31 Girl, reach out to us. Put it in the comments or whatever. Reach out to us and say, girl, I need you to come over to this platform and we're going to do our best to try and get to where you are. Why? Because we're family, because we're sisters, and because we're doing life together. Okay. All right. And then I also want to invite you all to join us on social media. Follow us, like, subscribe, share, comment, all of those wonderful things that you can do on social media. All of our social media outlets, they're listed under Cynthia McClary. And so that's Facebook, that's Instagram, as well as YouTube. And of course, you can actually listen to the podcast because we have the podcast available on YouTube as well. So on the regular podcast platforms as well as YouTube. Thank you. So we're going to we're going to get back into today's episode, or back into our episode of laying the foundation, laying your foundation. So thank you for joining us for this part. And we're going to pick up right kind of sort of from where we left off last week. So last week we were talking about laying the foundation, and we talked about Jesus Christ being the chief cornerstone, and that the cornerstone is the most important thing upon which everything else is built. And where we left off yesterday, or where we left off last week, we were looking at Matthew chapter 7, verse 24 and 27. So that's where we're going to start back today, talking about the importance of foundation, the importance of cornerstone. And so in Matthew chapter 7, verse 24 through 27, it tells us the story of two men. Both men are building their home. So two men, they're building their home. One man decides to build his home on the sand, and the second man decides to build his home on the rock. Now, what's common about them is they're people, they're human. That's one. Something else is common about them. Both of them are building, and something else is common about them is they have both chosen the foundation, or the type of foundation that they want to build on. Okay, so they're human. So that can be a man or a woman. So if you're listening to this podcast, this can apply to you. They're building something. If you're building anything in your life, or if you have built anything in your life, or you plan to build anything in your life, this applies to you. And third thing, which is common, we see is common with these two men, is that they each chose the foundation that they chose. So everybody that builds, you don't have to choose the same thing. You don't have to choose the same foundation. No. I think it's so beautiful that God gives us choices. He gives us choices, and he gives us the liberty to use our will, to use our mind, to choose I almost want to say to choose our destiny, but he gives us the liberty. He gives us the freedom to make our own choices. He doesn't hand tie us and say, you better do this. God don't do that. No, he says, hey, look at that's just like God gives us as many choices. Like we have the freedom of choice, just like if you're building a home and I don't know, you're looking at the material for your kitchen counter. Listen, you can choose Formica, you can choose cement, you can choose granite, you can choose marble, you can choose plastic. You can choose to not put countertops in your kitchen. That's your choice. Now, people might have opinions about your choice, But especially if you decide to build your kitchen without without countertops. Oh, you can have glass counters in your kitchen. That's your business. That's your business. That's your choice. So like you're not stuck with what other people tell you that you got to put in your kitchen. No, you can listen. If you know how, or if you find somebody who knows how to make countertops out of mud and have the mud created, have it fashioned and created so that when you cutting stuff on your countertop and you got to wipe your countertop, you're not wiping out mud and stuff like that. Listen, whatever countertops you want in your kitchen, child, that is your choice. That's your choice. That's your choice. That's your choice. That's your choice. So we all don't have to have the same foundation. No, you can choose. You can choose whatever foundation you want. Listen, if you can find somebody that can fashion ashes into a countertop for your kitchen, matter of fact, not just for your kitchen, but for your kitchen and all of the bathrooms in your, go for it. That's the liberty of, that's the liberty and the freedom that God has given us to utilize our will. He doesn't say, hey, you gotta have marble floors, or you gotta have wooden floors, or you gotta have this kind of carpet in your home, or you gotta have this type of countertop in your kitchen. No, freedom. He gives you the freedom of choice. Like you can paint if you want to paint your walls burgundy, freedom of choice. Girl, that's your choice. That's your choice. Yeah, if people come in your house and say, "Ooh, girl, this burgundy ain't it." That's your choice. And that's their opinion. Okay? But you have the freedom of choice. If you want to paint your room and your whole entire room looks like the I don't know, the stripes of a zebra, and then the opposite wall looks like the print of leopard, it's called choice. It's called free will. And God has given each of us this incredible thing called choice. We get to choose. We get to decide. Like, I love Range Rovers. Some people might hate Range Rovers, but I think they're cute. But some people might hate them, but I think they're cute. But it's called choice. It's called choice. I love pork and beans and rice. To somebody else, it's like, ew, why would you ever? I love it. I love it. And if you think I'm lying, when I go home, my mama know. Like, my mama be cooking these big meals when we come home and stuff like that. My mama, listen, I will eat whatever my mama cook, okay? But she know that her baby girl loves pork and beans and rice and Roger Wood sausage, which I don't have access to Roger Wood sausage where I live. So yeah, I likes to eat it when I go home. And it's called choice. I don't like seafood, but it's called choice. I don't have to eat seafood. No, because I can eat other stuff. It's called choice. You might love seafood, okay? But it's called free will. It's called choice, okay? That's the beautiful thing about God. God gives us choices. He don't trip when we, choose an orange flower over a yellow flower. God don't trip. God says that's her preference. I gave her the choice to choose. I gave her the freedom to choose. Now, having the freedom to choose, of course, freedom comes with responsibility. But the point is, we all have the freedom. God has given all of us the freedom, the liberty to make choices. Okay? There are people who choose to go to school every day. Like their parents send them to school and they choose to go to school and listen to the teacher. And then there are those who choose the opposite thing. But it's still choices. You got it? All right. So I think we got that point clear. We all got choices. And so these two men, one chose to build on the sand, the other one chose to build on rocks. Three things in common. They were human. They were building. And they each chose what they wanted to build on. Now, these other things, though, were not choices because neither of these men chose for life to happen. Because y'all know we don't be choosing for life to happen neither. No, life just becoming, like life don't even knock on our door and be like, hey, it's now a good time. No, life just comes and say, boom, I'm here. Open up your door. Like who does that? Life. So these men, now there were things that they could choose and they made their choices. Okay. But then there were things that were out of their control. And all of us have things that are beyond our control that we can't control. Listen, well, before I even talk about that, let's talk about these things that were out of their control. They chose what they built on. One built on sand, one built on the rock. Now, let's talk about the things that were not within the parameters of their control. Life is not within the parameter of our control. And we see in Matthew 7:24-27, that it wasn't within their parameter of control either. Here's what happened. So they've already made their choice to build. One builds on the sand, one builds on the rock. And then life says, okay, now it's my time to show you what I do, what I specialize in. Because life has a specialization. Sometimes life's specialty is to get on your nerves, to get under your skin, to make you want to box. I'm talking about like just grab life in the headlock and just beat life up. Okay. Like life can sometimes be a nuisance. And we see that happen. So these two men, they're all, life is lifing on both of them. The word of God tells us that the rain started to fall. Which one of us can stop the rain from falling? None. Now we can use umbrellas and barriers and stuff like that, get in the house out of the rain, but we can't stop the rain from falling. No. Have you ever been outside and you see the clouds looking like, ooh, it's going to rain, and be like, rain, you go right back up to heaven. You go right back up in those clouds. It would be nice, especially if you got a silk press. Listen, wouldn't that be nice? Especially if you got a silk press or you just got your hair done and you could just be like, rain, no, ain't nobody playing with you, and the rain would just return to the clouds. I mean, come on, but we don't have control over that. The word of God says the rain fell. Okay, not only did the rain fall, right? The wind blew. And I don't know about y'all, but I've been in some wind that just wasn't typical. I'm talking like that didn't cooperate with my hair. And then the next thing you know, I'm walking up in places looking like, ooh, was she in a fight with the wind? I probably shouldn't be saying this, but it's the truth. Like I can't stop the wind. No, because it'd be blowing. And sometimes if I just say stop wind, it still don't stop. It still do what it want to do. Like the wind has a mind of its own. Have you ever been out? Ooh. Okay, so have you ever been out in a storm? It's raining, plus it's windy. So it's wind and raining. And the thing flip your umbrella inside out. And then you be embarrassed because now you getting wet and you trying to close your umbrella. See, Life just be life, and I'm telling y'all. And these are things we can't control. And these men couldn't control it. And not only was the wind blowing and the rain falling, but now you got the floods coming. Like, seriously? And now, I don't know if all three of these things were happening at once, but we know they happened. Whether they happened together or whether it was just happening, one came and then the other one came and then the other one came. I don't know. But you know, sometimes when life start life, and it can just be like a 1, 2, 3 punch. Like, I'm gonna send the rain at 3. I'm sending the wind at 3:15, and then I'm sending the flood at 3:16. Cause life has a mind of its own. Like, y'all, my sisters, do y'all feel me? Do you hear me? Life be lifing. And we see that life happened on these two men in Matthew 7:24-27. Yeah, they had choices, but there just like us, we have choices, but there are some things that we don't have a say in the matter. We don't have a say in the matter. We don't have a say in the matter when death comes. Because if I had a say in the matter, my daddy would still be alive. But I didn't have a say in the matter. No. Life lifed. And I just had to roll with the punches. Think about all the things that we don't have a say in, that if we had a say in, we would probably choose something different. But can we? No, we can't. So we have to roll with the punches that life throws us. And that's what they had to do. No matter the situation, no matter the circumstance, life's on all of us. We can't control some things. Some things we have choices in. But there are some things that we don't have a choice in. We just have to roll with the punches. Now, here's the thing. So we see these two men, human, because we could have been the ones that the Bible was writing about, okay? It could have been two women was building their business or whatever. Okay? So human, they're building something. They utilize their freedom of choice. Okay? That's what they did. They utilized their freedom of choice. And the thing that none of them had control over is the circumstances that life brought them. They didn't have any choice over that. They didn't have any say in the matter. Just like we don't have say in the matter. Now, but we see in those scriptures, we see in that set of scripture that each man, even though life on both of them, same circumstances, the wind, the rain, the floods, same circumstances, same set of circumstances. Maybe the rain in the man who built his house on the sand, maybe the rain came Wednesday, but because the man that built his house on the rock, maybe he was staying, in a different location. Because like sometimes when we get rain over where I live, it takes a couple days, and then my mom will be like, girl, y'all sent us the rain. You know what I'm saying? So just because it's raining at my house right now doesn't mean that it's raining at your house. But if the storm pattern keeps moving on, it's coming to your house too. And vice versa. Okay? But the difference, they had choices, some things they didn't have a choice about. But their choice, even though they went through the same circumstances, they actually had different outcomes. Not because their circumstances were different, but because their choice was different. Can you imagine that? So you get to choose. We get to choose, right? There's a portion, there's a part of the equation that we have no say in. But our choice, in spite of the equation that we have no part to play in, that we have no choice in, our choices produce the outcome. And we see that in scripture. So what we see is the man that chose. Nobody tied him up and said, or held, him hostage and said, you better build your house on the sand. Nobody did that. He chose that. He chose. You understand this? I want you to follow real close. He chose. Nobody made him sign a contract that said, you better build your house on the sand. You better do it. Nobody did that. Nobody threatened him. He freely chose to build his house on sand. And because he chose to build his house on sand, don't have nothing to do with the part of life that he has no control over. His outcome wasn't because of the rain and the wind and the flood. His outcome was because of his choice. His outcome was because of his choice. And do you know what his outcome was? His house fell. Life lifed on him. He chose, life lifed, and his house fell. Not because life lifed, but because of what he chose. Put that together. He made a choice. The same life that happened to him is the same life that happened to everybody else. Same life that happened to the second man. His outcome, the man who built on sand, his outcome was his house fell to the ground. His house fell. Your choices have consequences. Not just yours, mine too. Who is exempt? Not me. And if I am exempt, somebody, I need some refunds, but I'm not exempt. Okay? I'm not exempt. You're not exempt. We're not exempt from the choices, we're not exempt from the outcome that our choices produce. He chose sand. Life happened. His house fell. And then we have the second man. Same thing. It's the same principle. Whatever you choose is going to determine your outcome. I want to say that again. Whatever you choose determines your outcome. What you choose. Remember, we got the freedom of choice. We got that liberty. God gave us that liberty. Hey, Cindy, you choose. You choose between water or Kool-Aid, water or juice. You thirsty. Choose between water or Kool-Aid or juice. Choose. And I ain't gonna lie, sometimes I choose juice. Cause juice tastes better than water. Okay? Cindy, choose. Sometimes I choose, I have a choice between broccoli and chocolate cake. I like broccoli. I love broccoli. But sometimes sometimes. If you give me a choice between broccoli and chocolate cake, I like both of them, but I love chocolate cake. And guess what? I'm going to choose the chocolate cake. That's what I'm going to choose. Now, not unless I can look at the chocolate cake and it looks dry and it just look like, girl, take the broccoli. I'm going to take the broccoli. But otherwise, everything being even, what you think I'm going to choose the chocolate cake? I ain't gonna lie. And guess what? Every choice that I make, every choice that you make produces an outcome. And who's responsible for those outcomes? The person that made the choice. The person that made the choice. The person that made the choice. Okay? So we have the man who chose to build his house on the rock. Guess what? He made a good choice. He made a good choice. He made a good choice. He was not exempt, though, from life happening. The rain still fell, the wind still blew, and the flood still came. Listen, your choice don't exempt you from nothing. You know, like how in high school, at least when I was in high school, like if you performed well during during the regular academic year, you could be exempt from your final exam. Well, life that's not what they do in the real world. No, that's not how they operate in the real world. You can make the best choices, but life's still gonna life. Life's still gonna life. You don't get exempt from it. Life's still gonna life. He made a great choice, but life still lifed on him. Okay? His outcome, child, his house did not fall. The same exact circumstances. The rain came, the rain fell, the wind blew, and the floods came. His house was like, and what? And what? That's all you got. That's all you got. Now, when those things happened, he was probably inside like, oh my goodness, when is it gonna stop raining? He could have been. I hope he wasn't complaining, because we shouldn't be complaining. But y'all know sometimes we do the things that we shouldn't be doing. So he might have been like, Lord, please don't let it rain tomorrow. Because why? He probably had a party, an outside birthday party planned for his kids. And they were bringing all the bouncy houses. And he like, Lord, I need it to be sunshine tomorrow. We got all these games scheduled for the kids, for their birthday party and all that kind of stuff. Please, Lord, please, Lord, please let the sun come out tomorrow. Okay, so he went through all of the stuff. He went through all of the stuff. It was his choice that produced the outcome that his house didn't fall. He went through the storm, just like the man with the sand. The man who built on sand went through the storm. This man who built on the rock also went through the storm. Okay. But his house did not fall. Why? Because of the foundation that he chose in the beginning. The foundation determined the outcome. And listen, it is the same way in our lives. Our foundation. Listen, a million choices that we can make in the run of a day. Like sometimes I don't choose to eat what I cook. Sometimes I choose to go and eat what somebody else cooked. Sometimes I don't choose to eat the stuff that I already spent my money on. I go and I choose to spend more money paying for something that somebody else cooked. My choice. Is it not the smartest choice? You know it is. Whether and don't sit up on the other side of this camera and be like, but girl, I understand. No, you know why you understand? You understand because you know you be doing the same thing. That's a silly choice, y'all. Come on, we gotta be real. That's a silly choice, especially for people that say, but you know what? I'm focused on saving this year. What is you saving when you spending the money that you already spent on the grocery, right? But you're gonna take the other money, and you're gonna spend. Don't agree with me just because you're doing the same silly stuff. Like, we do silly stuff and be like, girl, I understand. Yeah, I can understand, but it's still silly. It's still silly. Matter of fact, it's quite dumb. Yes, it is. It's quite dumb. I don't care what you say. It is quite dumb. It's quite dumb. Not unless there's a legit reason. Like God told you, hey, don't eat that food at your house. And you don't be lying on God neither. Don't be lying on God. No, God said, now you cook. That's what he be saying. You got food cooked at the house. And you be like, but I don't want it. I got a taste for something else. I don't got a taste for that right now. Come on now. Our choices are going to determine our outcome. Our choices determine our outcome. Life gon' life. Because that's what life is supposed to do. Life is going to life. But it's our choices that determine our outcome. And we have to become more aware of that. We have to become more aware of that in our everyday life when we're looking at the next week, the next month, the next year. we have to consider like our choices. Child, them thing come with repercussions and consequences. Yes, they do. That's just like if a child don't study, if a child don't do their work, don't you as a parent be sitting up there expecting, oh, I know they got all A's. A lie, a whole entire lie, a whole lie, a whole lie. You know, the scriptures say we're going to reap what we sow. Listen, your choices, they got consequences. Mm-hmm. And listen, we gotta stop getting mad about the consequences when we the one creating the. You gonna reap, which is the outcome, exactly what you sow. Whatever you sow is what you're gonna reap. You want to change this part right here? Then change the choices that you're making. Change what you sowing. If you want to harvest something different, then I'm gonna need us, all of us. I'm gonna need all of we to change what we plant. Change them choices. Change what you get. Okay, you can't plant. You can't. I don't know. Ooh, what's some? Well, I've never had this, but I've never had eggplants, right? But if I go down to Lowe's or go down to wherever they sell seeds, and I say, okay, like I want to learn to eat new vegetables and things like that. And so I buy me a packet of eggplant seeds, right? And I plant the plants. I plant the seeds and they grow up, okay? And then on this particular day, because they've already, the eggplants are grown on the thingamajiggy, on the vine or whatever they grow on. But this particular day, right, I have a taste for watermelon. I can't just stand up in my window and be like, eggplants turn into watermelon. Eggplants turn into watermelon. And go outside and be like, I know they purple on the outside, but I believe that when I cut this eggplant, it's going to have the flesh of watermelon inside. It will be good if it worked like that, but it don't work like that. Our choices, girl, be producing them outcomes. And with some outcomes in life we don't be liking, but then we don't want to tell the truth and say, well, I got what I paid for. I don't know why I'm laughing, but listen, we'll get mad. And here's the thing about it, and then I think I'm gonna just say this one thing, and then I'm gone. Okay, so we'll get mad at the outcome, right? But then we won't be honest with ourselves and say, well, see, I caused it because this is what I chose. Say it again. We get mad at the outcome that happens in our lives, but then we won't be honest enough with ourselves, with other people, with God, and say, but I caused this. No, listen, you know what we'll do before we're real honest with ourselves and say, I caused this? We'll blame it on the wind. We'll blame it on the rain. We'll blame it on the flood. And now I just want to say something, and then this is my third closing. Stop. No, but seriously. So we won't be honest with ourselves and tell ourselves the truth. Tell other people the truth. Well, I'm the one that caused it. You know who caused an outcome because of his choice? Who was that dude going down to Nineveh? And they was like, dude, oh my gosh. Y'all know the dude that God sent him to Nineveh, and he was like, I'm not going to no Nineveh. I'll go someplace else. And then when they found him on the boat, they was like, Jonah. That's his name, Jonah. They was like, listen, it's something up in here that ain't right, okay? It's something up in here that ain't right. And whoever you is that ain't right, we need y'all to make it known and do what you need to do. And Jonah told the truth and said, listen, I'm the one that's causing all of this. The reason y'all having these kinds of storms out here on this water is because of me. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take responsibility and I'm gonna throw myself overboard. But Jonah took responsibility. Jonah did something that a lot of us won't do. Jonah told the truth. Man, I was running from God. I was being disobedient. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, not what God told me to do. And this is why y'all is having these bad outcomes, because of me. So sometimes we complain about the outcomes, but we're not honest enough with ourselves or with God to say, but I caused it because of the choice, because of the decision that I made. So you want to change your outcome, change your choices. All right. Listen, I am so grateful that you all partnered with me for this episode here. Thank you so much for listening. Again, like, subscribe to the podcast, download it, share it with your friends, with your mama, your auntie, them, your sister, them, your friends, everybody. Share it with your husband too, because you never know. Yeah, you just never know. And then also, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on our social media outlets. We're listed as Cynthia McClary on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Listen, I ran out of time, but I've not run out of what we're talking about. So join me next week. We're going to pick up from where we left off today. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to keep it moving. We're going to keep it moving. All right. I will see you all back next week for the next part of this. Thank you.